Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Inflation's getting absolutely out of control, especially in places like Turkey and Argentina and Germany, 10 countries in the EU, Mexico, America, Canada. It's really, really looking unstable in a lot of countries all around the world. Now, what I believe is very likely going to happen is I think fiat currencies, especially the dollar, is going to lose more and more and more status and more control over the coming decade. And what I think is ultimately going to happen is we are going to see a whole new world unfold before our eyes. And smart and savvy entrepreneurs are already aware of this and they're investing accordingly. Now, with that being said, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's going on. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content, educate more people about what's really going on in the economy. Turkey, and their inflation hits 83% as Erdogan vows to keep cutting interest rates. Turkey's inflation climbed to a new 24-year high of more than 83% for September. The country's official body of statistics reported on Monday consumer prices month on month grew 3.08% and annually 83.45%. Domestic producer price was up almost 5%, 4.78% from the previous month, and a whopping 151.5% year on year. Inflation for the country of 84 million people has soared in the last 2 years, in particular, as Turkish president insists on continuing to cut interest rates rather than to raise them, deviating from the conventional way of controlling inflation. My biggest battle is against interest. My biggest enemy is interest. We lowered the interest rate to 12%. Is that enough? It's not enough. This needs to come down further. Now, what happens as inflation continues to soar? The price of everyday items obviously becomes more expensive, but one's ability to save money and get ahead becomes more and more challenged. Ultimately, what is going to happen is there's going to be a massive body of maybe 40, 50, 60, 70 million people out of the 84 million that demand social services and assistance because there's no way to survive without that. In the last 2 months alone, Turkey's central bank, seen under the control of Erdogan, cut interest rates by 200 basis points to 12%, shocking markets. The Turkish lira is currently trading at a record of 18.56 to the dollar and has lost roughly 20% of its value against the greenback this year. Now, the big question is, how valuable will the greenback be? The greenback was based on three things. One is our military. Two is our production, the country's production, especially over the last 50 years. Every single decade, we've produced less and less and less. And then, of course, fossil fuels, all of which are on a downhill trend. Now, what I believe is going to happen is we are going to start to see a new basket of reserve currencies probably unfold in the next few years, and it's going to shock the world. Turkey's officials say that their measures will bring inflation down in the coming months, but many economists disagree and expect consumer prices to rise and the lira to fall further into next year. With external financing conditions tightening, the risk remain firmly skewed as the sharp, disorderly fall in the lira. Turkish lira 83% and the 24-year high. Argentina inflation nears 80%, spiraling prices squeeze shoppers. And inflation hits 10% in 19 EU countries. 19 EU countries, 10%. But what they're not telling you is that utility bills are up a whopping 80%. So all around the world, especially the Western world, all of these countries are getting greatly punished. Greatly punished. And this is something that all entrepreneurs have to be aware of. If we are stepping into an environment where we're going to continue to see double-digit inflation numbers, because most people would probably argue that in America, rent's up 20%, used cars are up about 40%, everything was up, a lot more than the 8% in which was stated to us in the CPI. So with that being said, if your wealth, your income is not increasing above CPI, that ultimately means that your quality of living is getting eroded. That's why right now I believe we have more and more attention flowing online, more opportunity flowing online than ever before. All you need is internet connection, and an idea and some work ethic, and you can make something happen here. Because this is what's going to happen. Things are going to get harder and harder and harder. That is for sure. Now, I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I personally am a person that I'd rather go on my feet than on my knees. So I'm going to always fight and always do what I know is the right thing to do, which is to hustle and to work hard and to really, really be diligent and realize that things are only going to get harder in the future than they are right now. And so you need to plan accordingly for that. You look at what's happening in Canada. Inflation hits international students hard, with some turning to food banks. But this is where I think it's all going. BRICS countries hold talks on reserve currency. Now you have Ray Dalio, obviously the founder of Bridgewater and Associates, world's largest hedge fund, and then you have Stanley Druckenmiller, who partnered with George Soros and broke the Bank of England almost in 1990 and made billions of dollars. These gentlemen are saying that what's going to happen is that we are going to likely lose the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency. We're already starting to see, in Russia, in China, Saudi Arabia, all these different countries starting to trade and buy oil and sell oil outside of the U.S. dollar. I believe this is only just beginning, because if you were an outside country and you watched what just happened with Russia, all the sanctions, freezing assets, would you want to put yourself in a position where there's one country that has the ability to do that to you and to your country? Probably not. And that's why I believe that we're going to start to see more and more trade happen outside of the dollar. And I think this could be a very big problem, especially for America, as we are heavily dependent on selling debt and social services. This could all really end badly. Moscow, the BRICS countries are working on establishing a new reserve currency to better serve their economic interests. It will be based on a basket of currencies in the 5 nations. The possibilities and prospects of setting up a common single currency based on a basket of currencies of the BRICS countries is being discussed. According to the diplomat, member states actively study mechanisms to exchange financial information to develop a reliable alternative. Now, they've been working on this for a year. So a lot of people say, no, they've been talking about this for a very long time. This is what's happening. This wouldn't happen overnight. They've been working on this for many, many years. What I believe is going to happen over the next couple of years is we're just going to start to see this whole relationship, this whole authority built around the dollar be questioned, challenged, and destroyed. That's what I think. I think that we are starting to see a lot of smart investors, they're already aware of this. They're buying hard, real assets. They are buying things that are going to mean more than this fiat currency, which to me, I have no real respect for the dollar from the perspective that like in the last 2 years, they printed 40% of all USD supply since 1776. 40%. They just throw a number on the screen and everyone trades in it. And now, the only thing that really matters is businesses that produce income during the good times and the bad times, assets that hold and store value, and options. Options are authority. You have options, you can pivot, you can make money in all economic environments. When you have a situation like this, where a lot of people, they're told, save your money, save your money, save your money, but meanwhile, they dilute the hell out of your money, then basically you just get punished for saving. I do believe you should save money to invest, but you shouldn't save for the long haul, because I think personally, the last thing I'd want to do is hold dollars for 20 years or 10 years even. I'd want to hold them for the short term. Maybe the market, goes through a really big swing and you could scoop up some really good deals, no doubt about that. But the long term, I think that we are going to be moving into a basket of currencies. I do believe that we are going to be moving away likely from the US dollar having full authority. But I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to continue to rise? Because even look at Mexico, for example. Mexico taps private sector again to try to keep food prices down. Very similar to what we were told in America. Remember in America, they said that the corporations and small business owners, they need to pay their people more and they need to keep prices down. What ultimately is happening is Big Brother's pointing the finger at capitalism, pointing the finger at business owners, saying that you guys need to do a better job. You guys are the problem. And then ultimately, as the world gets more and more challenging, people are going to demand solutions in which they will provide. So this isn't just happening in Mexico. It's not just happening in America. It's happening everywhere in the West. This dynamic, this relationship between them and us is going to continue to change. And so you need to have businesses, you need to have investments, and you need to put yourself in a position to where you can weather that change, because I think that change is going to shock Americans, it's going to shock Europeans, it's going to shock people all over the world. But I'm curious as to, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to continue to rise? Do you think that this situation, this instability is going to continue in America, in Canada, Mexico, Argentina, even Sri Lanka, all these places? Do you think that this instability is going to continue? What do you think about it? We're already hearing rumors about potential banking collapses. We're hearing about all of this instability. And this only just started. What's crazy to me is I was at Dunkin' Donuts, for example, today. I got a coffee. And I'm having a coffee. I'm standing there. There's a lady to the right of me. She's on the phone with a realtor and or maybe as a property manager, trying to figure out why she's not getting her rent. The tenant's not paying rent. And then there's the guy to the left of me. He's on the phone with his realtor, and the realtor is saying, you know what? You need to reduce your price. You need to reduce your price. It's interesting. I personally think that everything is changing. It's changing rapidly. We just only begun this low interest rate environment changing into more of a higher interest rate environment just 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and we're already starting to see the instability. As we continue to rise, this interest rate problem continues to go. What's ultimately going to happen is this whole economy is going to come down like a house of cards, and it's going to be interesting. What do you think? Drop below, hit the like button, subscribe, and subscribe to my second channel. If you need help fixing your credit, we'd love to help you at cashnow.video. And if you'd like to make money online from home, all you need is Wi-Fi. You could be anywhere in the world. It's a copy and paste strategy. It's very, very simple. Cashnow.video /money, and join the Discord. And catch you guys in the next one.